Tuan, I want to come to you because Schaeffler recently relocated its regional distribution operations from Singapore to Thailand. So can you walk us through a little bit around behind that kind of thinking and that decision and kind of what you're hoping to achieve there?
Yeah, as we know and heard, ASEAN is quite a fragmented and diverse region, and it accounts well for all the potentials that we also have here, right? And we're going there from best cost country to a bit more high cost countries, more efficient countries when it comes to customs infrastructure like Singapore, Malaysia. And of course, having then there the hub in Singapore, we came to the point where we then said like, okay, looking at this fragmented region and the potentials there. Let's play a little bit around at first and then play in different kind of scenarios, and that's how it all started. So it was a more than 6 months exercise to look then there in terms of cost efficiency. What would it mean and what kind of impact we would have moving that from Singapore to Thailand, but more importantly was, and that's where we spent it most of the times, to really study that in more detail when it comes to our customer, their requirements, and make them a really detailed study about all the inbound flows, on the outbound flows. How do we then serve cross-border from Thailand back to Singapore? How would it look like? Lead time impacts, and had a there in close alignment with our business, and then of course also our customers. So that for sure was key and was one of the first exercises. And further walking you through, it's of course an exercise that we do not let alone do by ourselves. So we were then partnering up there with the solutions team from Maersk. They had, of course, all the details when it comes to transportation. We put that together with our business requirement, customer requirements, and in the end, of course, it's a decision on that kind of scale that goes then also to our Asia-Pacific board, where we then, in conclusion, then decided to move that up to Thailand. And then, of course, working there with different kind of 3PLs, I took quite a long process also going there through an RFQ, because it's then not only a commercial topics and really a technical topic on that side as well, looking that our future partner has then all the requirements in place when it comes to warehousing standards, but also connectivity. So yeah, quite an exercise, and main driver here, not only cost, but also then customer satisfaction. So that's really quick and a brief about the process and how we went along.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, there's quite, as you alluded to, quite a lot to account for in those kind of differences when it comes to designing that regional distribution network. But I want to stick with you, Tuan, on that kind of note around customs, because you know, even relatively short customs delays can have a significant consequence on your operations. So how do you kind of manage that compliance and cross-border coordination across multiple markets?
Yeah, there for sure. I mentioned it already. Singapore and Malaysia are well developed in this sense. Also, when it comes to the last mile and the customs procedure and digitalization approach. India, Philippines, Vietnam, of course, with a bit of gap on potential, especially on the last mile connectivity and the process around that. It is, of course, an approach in dealing with customs and in such a diverse market that I, not let alone, can control from centrally. So it's a mixed approach versus central and decentral. So we have in each of the countries then our expertise, our partners also. It's also not something that we do ourselves. We need their strong partners also in the country itself. You are really familiar with all the procedures that are there in place. So it's a hybrid approach, I would call it, right? As maturity levels also vary a lot from country to country. Mentioned customs digitalization, and last but not least, and that's what we also did in our exercise when we did that network study. For some countries, we were just aware that on the, let's say that apart from the quantitative aspects in terms of cost, the qualitative aspect in terms of handling and the lead times, we will have an impact. I mean, there's this famous World Bank indicator in terms of logistic country performance, and there you can definitely see that Singapore is on the top, and other countries around Vietnam, Thailand have their challenges. And that's something we catered in our supply chain with basically buffer in our lead times to catch those longer lead times of customs handling, etc.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Eric, you're kind of managing similar complexities in your broad regional network. Can you kind of share a little bit around how you're kind of helping to reduce those same operational risks and, you know, when it's so fragmented across the supply chain?
Yeah, clearly a challenge also in the context of what we discussed earlier. Just to start on the, let's say, the supply side, the raw material side, clearly having a reduced dependency on single suppliers or even single countries or single regions is quite important. It made it a lot more complex, right? Because even having two different suppliers may not be the answer anymore if they're all based in the US, for example. Visibility is quite important, not just in terms of the logistics, if you wish, but understanding your network, where the material is coming from, first tier, second tier, maybe even third tier, but frankly speaking, that's proven to be quite challenging. Of course, the good old method of strategically placing your inventory and having the right amount of inventory in the chain, clearly not the most preferable solution given the impact on cash flow, but definitely one of the tools in the toolkit. Relationship with suppliers, right? I think is quite important. Of course, you need to forecast well, ideally further in advance. Be a reliable partner as well, right? So don't change your orders too quickly, too frequently. Definitely don't cancel because that has very negative impacts on the downstream or rather upstream supply chain. So yeah, I would say on the supply side, reduce dependencies, better visibility, and of course, better flexibility will then lower your supply risk. From a manufacturing point of view, it's more complicated than one might think, but we're trying to multi-source within the region, so we can produce the same tire in Thailand as well as in Indonesia. The challenge with that is that the development process actually takes quite a long time. You can't just transplant one to the other, given the difference sometimes in machinery, the difference in the materials that you're sourcing, the difference in the manufacturing process, but even things like the difference in temperature and climate. All of those things impact how we make a tire and ultimately the quality and the performance. So to transfer a tire design from one factory to another takes time, takes energy, takes some funding, but it's definitely one of the things that we're doing. And then even further downstream, make sure that we have the right inventory in the right places. Again, that visibility of the downstream value chain from retail through maybe wholesaler, through our own warehouses, knowing what stock is, where the stock is, and how to access that is another key risk mitigation activity.
Perfect. Thank you. Tuan, Eric was kind of saying there around some of his kind of strategies for enable the importance of enabling visibility, and I know visibility is a major focus or for you improving that visibility across your supply chain to enable that faster response time. I know you have a demo to kind of show us around this very soon, but before then, maybe you could answer, you know, where have you made the biggest improvements in kind of your end-to-end visibility so far, and kind of what impact that has had on your day-to-day operations?
Yeah, just also adding up what Eric said, right? Of course, methods and tools in our set, of course, for sure. Also safety stock, dual sourcing, scenario plannings, but then also visibility tools there. And our major improvements, I mentioned it earlier, for sure, was looking more deep into also our transportation and there on our pre-carriage for us. There's a lot of material that we get also out of Europe into the region. And there we looked also on our internal Schaeffler plant suppliers, right? And our other suppliers that we have in Europe, and there already started us getting more transparency on synchronizing, for example, also the different kind of pickup times, that we have less waiting time than in the port where all the things get collected, consolidated, and then shipped into Asia. So there we gained a lot of more visibility. And of course, then along the value chain, also then with our suppliers, getting there also more information in their production planning schedules to also further synchronize and improve there on the inbound side. But yes, at some point, you reach certain kind of limits when it comes then to visibility, especially when it comes then to the main carriage, the things are on the sea. And as earlier mentioned, we focused then really on getting more efficiency, not only in transportation itself, but also how we process all those kind of informations. And you mentioned that short demo. Let me give you a bit of introduction. So not so long ago, roughly 8 months, we started a pilot with our Vietnam team. Why Vietnam? As they handle a lot of documentation. We have their manufacturing plant, 25,000 square meter, around 700 people. They're handling a lot of inbound. That means in the inbound side, they receive around about 2,000 emails per week, 2,025 documents per week. And where are the documents coming from? From all the different kind of suppliers, LSPs. And for the inbound processes, of course, they all need those kind of documents, from material list, landing, all those different kind of invoices. And of course, they all have, for sure, with our 150 plus different suppliers, all different kind of templates, forms. Some send it as JPEG from China. We get it via WeChat or things like that, right? And so it put a lot of stress on operation, and we said like, okay, let's put into our normal mail communication that we have with our suppliers, our LSPs, and then also our brokers. Between that email communication, let's put one AI tool that is reading that, checking that, labeling that, and then, and that's the magic, then organizing that in one single view, just with an input of an email, taking out the attachment, clustering it, labeling that. And that was a little bit, the vision that we had, and I'm proud that we have also up and running pilot now. And maybe, let's start a quick video, and I will do a bit of voiceover. So as mentioned, once again, the magic of that AI tool is collecting all the informations, and there you see already the shipment view. It's a really fast view where you have a planning board, a live view of all the different kind of shipments. You can directly open it up. You end up in a shipment, and here you find all the sort of the communication, the documents, the different kind of milestones. And also, and that was really quick, a bit of an, feel free to restart the video, just add up. So once again, AI tool is reading, checking, labeling, organizing that, putting it all in the tool, having then the planning board. And each of those shipments is not only on the planning board, it's also in a live map. You can open up the shipment, you see there all the details, find the documents in there that are already sorted to the shipment, the milestones, and the tool, and that's the latest innovation, is also giving indications about what to further improve in your supply chain. So once again, the real magic happens really putting this in such an organized view, taking it up all on just only the email information. So there's no EDI to LSPs or suppliers, etc. necessary. All it needs is an email inbox that the AI tool is reading out. And I have to say, that is our latest and greatest.
Perfect. Thank you for that demo. I want to shift to Eric, because I want to hear a little bit more about how you're also using AI or kind of automation within your supply chain, if anything similar to Tuan.
Thank you. So we've used AI in some simplistic forms for a few years in some ways, as we used it to scan some of our invoices and documents, and used to automatically upload that in certain systems, do price checking, and provide some information that helps with visibility. But that's obviously sort of old AI technology. We have started with a number of use cases. To be frank, I think we're a little bit of a slower adopter at the moment, partly because we still have some fundamentals to implement, and we're really focused on that at the moment, making sure that the data infrastructure is the right one, that you're working from platforms and not just on Excel. So there's a lot of structural investment going in, and taking a very sort of considered approach in terms of where do we deploy in a way that it's not just a gimmick and a quick win for some personal productivity, but actually generate structural improvements over the longer term and is scalable as well. So it will take us a little bit of time through the course of this year to build those fundamentals up. But we are, of course, exploring and working with various solutions for example, in our call centers. In Thailand, we have implemented a project in combination with bots, right? We are using with a number of use cases with the order management platform that we have here in the regional office as well, particularly with agentic AI to take the right actions that we know need to be taken, but currently do with human beings, and automate those. They're quite repetitive and should be straightforward. So those are some of the initiatives that we're doing whilst we're building some of the more fundamentals around the infrastructure. If I just could, for 30 seconds, touch on automation, I think that's a key play for us as well. We've just set up and launched, let's call it an ASRS. It's a little bit more simplified, but an automated storage and retrieval system in our factory in Wuxi in China. So it's a combination with AGVs. So we have the storage capability, and then through AGVs, it goes into the warehousing and then ultimately into the container. That part is still manual, and in fact, I just came back from China 2 weeks ago, where we visited a number of suppliers that are heavily invested in the automation in the logistics space, and would probably in the next few months will partner up with one or two of them to develop new technology for us, particularly around the lifting of stillages, which is where still a lot of our storage or the method in which we store goods. And then lastly, we are actively deploying AGVs in our warehouse, particularly in Australia, which, as you can imagine, is a relatively high-cost country, both from a labor as well as from a land cost point of view within this region. So the business case is a bit more straightforward, but I can really see in the next few years, and we're also working with our global supply chain partners and colleagues on that, we will really start to ramp up automation in the logistics space.
Perfect. Thank you for that detailed overview of how you're kind of using AI and automation within your supply chains.